All right, how are we doing? May I have your attention, please? Thank you for that. How was dinner? How about a big round of applause for the kitchen staff and our servers doing such a great job? Now we have a brief video presentation commemorating the 50th anniversary of the invasion of Cyprus. Let's play it. We'd like to thank our members of Congress for joining us tonight. Absolutely. I saw Senator Blumenthal come into the room. Welcome, Senator. There are a few other folks we'd like to recognize briefly. Ambassador Theodoros Sotiropoulos, Ambassador Patrick Theros, Brigadier General Panayoti Vasilopoulos, Daniel S. Maniashin, the CEO of B'nai B'rith International, Malcolm Heinlein, Executive Vice Chairman of the Conference of Presidents of Major American Jewish Organizations, Arthur Demopoulos, Executive Director of the American Hellenic Society, Nick Larigakis, President and CEO of AHI, Aram Hamparian, Executive Director of the Armenian National Committee of America, and Brian Andruni, Executive Director of the Armenian Assembly of America, Inc. Welcome. All right, now to the 2024 AHEPA Pericles Award. It is my honor to welcome to the podium the first presenter, Congressman Gus Bilirakis of the great state of Florida.
Thank you very much. I'm going to try to be as brief as I possibly can. But Your Eminence, we had a little talk briefly, and he talked about having our kids come to Capitol Hill and intern. So please, it's so very important. I reminded him or told him a little story when His Eminence Archbishop Yakovos, many, many years ago, obviously, he was our archbishop, a great archbishop. He recommended to my cousin, who's now the archbishop in London, Nikitas, he says, look, you've got to come and intern with your uncle, Mike Bilirakis, because the kids need to know the Hill. Now, he went another direction, which is so very important. Our Thriskia is number one, but we need... Well, absolutely. Our Thriskia is number one, our Glossa is number two, our culture, and our customs, our traditions. Now, so Nikita went on to do what he's doing now, serving the Lord, but we want our youth. Now, there are many members of Congress here, and it doesn't have to be a Helene, a Phil Helene, sometimes they're even better, to intern and learn the issues. And learn how you can help Elada, how you can help Kipro, how you can help our Patriarchio. It's so very, very important, but also the issues that affect the greatest country on the state in the world, the United States of America. So please remind your children and grandchildren, we are here available for you. Absolutely. And let me say this, too, about AHEPA. I love AHEPA. I grew up in AHEPA. And these brothers here, you know, I lost my brother last year due to Parkinson's. And it was very difficult for us. He was a wonderful person. Ecclesia, Kathe Kyriaki. I can't say that I go every Sunday. And his family, just a wonderful family. And that's all he cared about, is practicing medicine, and serving his Christo and you know, and his family, Ikoyenia. But anyway, we lost him. So, folks, you know, if I can say this, I have brothers here that care for me. And let me, Basil's unbelievable. Nico, just incredible. Savas, I tell you what, you're on the road to being the greatest president of AHEPA. You know why? Because, like he said it, Gus, I got to go everywhere. I can't just go to New York, Washington, what have you, Chicago, Los Angeles. I've got to go everywhere and see the people. So Savas, one day I'd like to see you in the United States Senate. I don't even know what your affiliation is, but I'd like to see you in the United States Senate one day, from the great state of New Jersey. Because, well, seriously, I bet, you know what? Quipro would be united if Savas was in the United States Senate. So let me just say a couple of things. John is outstanding, and I always tell him, John, one word, the Sarbanes name means integrity. And, we get together and we strategize about how to help our Helada and our Quipro and our Patria Gio, but there's no fanfare. We do it on the way to voting, on the floor of the House of Representatives. There are no press releases. A lot of the stuff is done behind the scenes, and he's been a great partner. We're going to miss you, Yanni. There's no question. And so now I'm here, and Nadina's here too. She's fantastic. It's great to have. We'll have two strong Greek women in the House of Representatives, and it makes a big difference, believe me, because women get things done, right? So let me just introduce our wonderful, wonderful honoree tonight, and I believe I'm supposed to give her the award. I hope I don't drop it. But I tell you what, to have Nicole Maliotakis on your side when you're advocating for a particular issue, I wouldn't want anyone else. She is relentless. She is relentless. And we get things done together. And of course, for our causes. And, Nicole, I told you that my son is getting married on Saturday, and he's marrying a Cuban girl. So he's married a Cuban girl that was born in Cuba. So it's really the next best thing to the alienness, right? Because we're so very much alike. Let me just say, it's going to be a loud wedding. We're going to have a lot of good food, and I just hope they don't kill each other, because we're very passionate people. But Nicole has been a godsend in the United States House of Representatives. She serves on the Ways and Means Committee, the second best committee in Congress, right, John? Well, John and I serve on the Energy and Commerce Committee. So what do you think? We're number one. But Nicole does an outstanding job. She's already a leader in my conference. She's there supporting our wonderful issues. And we're right on these issues, folks. And I don't want to go any further because this is the best journalist in the country. He really is. He's a true journalist. He's a man of faith. He's a man of faith, and he cares about his family and, again, his triskia, and he tells the truth. So I always call him the last real journalist. And it's true. Mike Emanuel is outstanding. So in any case, I don't want him to get upset with me. So I'm going to present the Pericles Award. Is that right, Basil? To Nicole Maliotakis. All right. Okay. But you can pick that up, though, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Are we taking a picture?
Yes, Ella.
Congratulations.
Oh, no, this way.
Do I say anything?
Yes, of course. No.
Move down.
No, Ella.
Yeah, she missed a mess.
What a mess.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the new star of the Republican Party from the state of New York, Nicole Maliotakis.
Thank you. Well, thank you. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for your support of AHEPA. I want to thank Sava. I want to thank my good friend Gus Bilirakis, who has been a mentor. He's been a friend. He has really led the way for another Greek Republican and we've worked together so closely on issues that are so important to the diaspora. I was very honored to receive this award tonight. You know, my father, like many of our stories, my father came to this country with $50 in his pocket. It is truly why this country is so great, because it is in this country, think about that, an immigrant with $50 in his pocket, doesn't speak the language, doesn't know anybody, and his daughter can become a member of the United States Congress. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen anywhere else in the world that you can rise to the top levels of government by just becoming an immigrant and a newcomer. But I would argue with you, Gus, that my father always says it was I have the Greek wisdom, but my passion to fight comes from the Cuban side. But I will say that Pericles was a fighter for his people. That we know about him. And I had 3 of my favorite quotes from Pericles I wanted to share and what they mean to me. You know, the first one he said is, "What you leave behind is not what is engraved in the stone monuments, but what is woven in the lives of others." That is what this organization is about. It's about philanthropy, it's about serving others, it's about what my job is about. It's about public service, about helping others. I'm very blessed to receive this award for my work, but the truth is I have an amazing team that works with me each and every day. Many of them are here today, and they are so dedicated to the people that we represent, the people of Staten Island and Southern Brooklyn. And I would, no offense to the other members here, I would match our constituent service, saying that we've helped thousands of people annually with all sorts of different issues. We've returned tens of millions of dollars to our district. We've helped people who've come the legal and right way become United States citizens. And we have helped so many people who have been stuck in bureaucracy and red tape. So that is what truly public service is about. The other quote is, "Just because you do not take an interest in politics doesn't mean politics won't take an interest in you." And isn't that the truth? And we need to be engaged. And that is the other thing that AHEPA stands for. It's civic responsibility. And I'm happy to hear that many of you will be descending on the Capitol tomorrow and that you will be speaking with your representatives about the issues that are important. And as Phil Christopher said, my good friend Phil, you know, we do need to work harder to educate our colleagues. We do need for people to understand that Turkey has played an adversarial role under Erdogan, that he has continued to have illegal flyovers above the Greek islands. He seeks to extend his footprint in Cyprus. The fact that he stood there in unity with Raisi of Iran, as well as Putin from Russia. These are the things we have to remind our representatives, and that also remind them how critical the trilateral relationship is between United States, Greece, and Cyprus, and our friends from Israel, who some of them were here, our Jewish friends. And that these countries have been true friends of the United States, and they have been true friends of democracy, and that they share our values, and we need to remember, particularly during this time, who our allies are. And the last thing I will say, the last quote here from Pericles, "Happiness depends on being free, and freedom depends on being courageous." And sadly, my mother fled a communist country because she did not have freedom. And we have to remember how fragile our freedom is. And so today I'll say that with my award, the beautiful warrior of Pericles, I want to dedicate it to the men and women who serve this great country. And I say that because, you know, number one, Memorial Day is Monday, and I think we've got to remember those, our fallen heroes who have given so much. Because if it wasn't for their sacrifice, if it wasn't for their service, if it wasn't for those who died for this country, I would have nothing to fight for in the halls of Congress. And so thank you very much for giving me this honor. I look forward to continuing my work. And I look forward to working with all of you to strengthen our relationships with Greece and Cyprus.
All right, now for our next distinguished presenter from the great state of Nevada, Congresswoman Dina Titus. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much, His Eminence, ambassadors, fellow Greek Americans, and special guests. It is a real treat for me to be with you here tonight to celebrate those who have given so much and made such a difference in our lives with the Pericles Award. It's a hard act to follow Gus, I can tell you. Gus and I don't have a lot in common when it comes to politics, but we do care very much about Greek American issues and also about tourism. Now, Gus is here to invite you to Tarpon Springs. I'm here to invite you to Las Vegas. Now, I know Greeks don't like to gamble. I hear that. But just in case, you're always welcome to District 1. It's a special privilege and a personal favor to me to get to make this award to Chris Pappas. He is the chair of our Hellenic Caucus and does so much to further the cause of the diaspora in Congress. It's issues that impact Greek Americans here in this country and back in the old country, as my papu would call it. And so he is out front on these issues, whether it is writing letters to the administration or other members of Congress, whether it's getting us all together to discuss issues, or just educating other members of Congress. The caucus is about advocacy, but it's also about education, letting people know what a role Greece plays in geopolitics, in standing up against Turkey, in developing alliances with Israel, in promoting the development of energy. Greece is out front on all of those things, and our most reliable democratic ally. And Chris is at the forefront as we move those things forward. You heard the wonderful quotes of Pericles. Certainly he was a hero and a fighter. He led Greece into the golden age. Athens became the center of all things, as you see by the Parthenon, whether it was education or the arts or culture generally. Pericles stood up and made sure that that happened. And that's what Chris does today. So it's very appropriate that he would receive this award, and it's an honor for me to be here with you, so many friends. It's nice to see you all and to present it to him. So Chris Pappas, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Okay.
we'll let you hold that.
Ladies and gentlemen, another star, this time of the Democratic Party, from New Hampshire, Chris Pappas. Axios.
Oh, that's terrific. Good evening, everyone. It's a true honor to be with you all here this evening. I want to thank my friend Savas for organizing this event, and to all the AHEPANs who are here, the leadership, the staff, the membership of the organization. Thank you very much for this honor. To my colleague, Dina Titus, we appreciate and are so grateful for that kind introduction in presenting the award, and to all the rest of my colleagues from Congress, Nicole and Gus, Senator Blumenthal, who's here as well, and John Sarbanes, who we'll hear from a little bit later. Thank you very much for working in a bipartisan fashion to support issues that are important to the United States, Greece, and Cyprus, and to help share the values of Hellenism. In Your Eminence, it's an honor to be in your presence. Thank you for your spiritual leadership of the Greek American community and for what you do each and every day. So I also want to recognize my family that is here in the audience, and obviously family is an important theme in my life and something that grounds all of us. My parents, Don and Arthur Pappas, came down from New Hampshire to this event. So welcome, guys. This is like only the second time they've been to D.C. during my time in the House, so it's good that we got them back. And my husband, Van Bentley, is also here, and it's great to be all together for this event. Look, it's a real honor to receive this award, and I'm really humbled to be up here. And I'm also proud, as a card-carrying member of AHEPA Local Chapter 44 in Manchester, New Hampshire, to be receiving this award. Like Nicole said, you know, my family inspired so much in me based on my Greek-American heritage, and it's something that I carry every day with me in the halls of Congress. My upbringing had most of the trappings of your average Greek-American family, lots of loud gatherings, obviously. We have a restaurant business, which is a touchstone for so many Greek-American families. Our place is still open in Manchester after 107 years, still going, 4 generations strong. And the focus for my family was always on education, it was on hard work, and it was on that duty and responsibility that you have to other members of your family and then to your extended community too. And I think AHEPA and the Daughters of Penelope are key defenders of those values that we all cherish, the values of Hellenism in America, and why I'm so proud to stand with these organizations in our work in Congress. And I don't have to remind this room, certainly, of what AHEPA and AHEPans have accomplished over their decades of service to the American people. AHEPA members, after all, have served our community and our nation during some of its most trying times in our nation's military. In World War II, we know AHEPans parachuted behind enemy lines of Nazi-occupied Greece to help liberate their homeland, and on the home front raised millions and millions of dollars in the sale of war bonds to help the war effort, helped restore the Statue of Liberty in Ellis Island, which were touchstones for so many of our ancestors and their descendants as they immigrated to this country. AHEPA was also at the forefront of the fight for civil rights and inclusivity in this country, making sure that we're a nation that protects all ethnic, racial, and religious minorities, standing up to the bigotry of the KKK. And AHEPA clearly has continued to make such a difference with education, providing scholarships, humanitarian relief, and other assistance that folks need, especially the most vulnerable Americans among us. So simply put, we wouldn't be the great country we are today without Greek Americans and without the work of AHEPans year after year after year in their focus on service. So, this is a challenging time in the political arena, to say the least. Politics, though, can and should be a unifying enterprise where we come together with a shared set of beliefs and goals and aspirations, and we can come together as Americans on what counts the most. And I think that's what our Hellenic Caucus does a great deal of work around in a bipartisan fashion. We are bipartisan in our composition and our aims with respect to the work that we do in the House. Our caucus has worked to advance policies that strengthen our relationships with Greece and Cyprus at such a crucial moment in our history. And if for some reason you doubt the value of our alliances with Greece and Cyprus, just think about events over the last few years, from the illegal invasion of Ukraine by Vladimir Putin or the events of October 7th, and the leadership that Greece and Cyprus have provided, the strategic support, the military cooperation, the logistics support, ensures that these two countries are essential democratic allies and so important for us to support in terms of the strategic future of these alliances. That's why our caucus will continue this work, and we will always stand up to the malign influence of Turkey whenever we see it, and we have cobbled together a bipartisan coalition in Congress that's ready to do that. So I really look forward to continuing this work. I thank AHEPans for the work that they do on a variety of different fronts to make a difference in the lives of real people. And as I think about my time in public service, too many people view public service as a performance. It's a way to score points or beat the other side or somehow get the most clicks online. But fundamentally, it's about people. It's about the people we know, the people in our communities, the people who need a helping hand. And AHEPA has been there every step of the way for community members. We need to make sure in Congress that we are elevating that voice and working with you on your priorities for the future. So many of the issues I hear about back home are issues that AHEPA and the Daughters of Penelope are working on, whether it's education, whether it's healthcare, whether it's domestic violence, whether it's housing, which is probably the top issue I hear about now from my constituents. And we've got to make sure that we're providing the tools for the American people to be able to move forward and to thrive. So thank you for all you do to engage in this work. It's essential. Congress isn't just going to stumble on solutions or the right answers on its own. We need engagement from stakeholders and community members all across our country to get this right. And I fundamentally believe that we can rise to the occasion. We can come together as one American family, as one big Greek-American family, and learn about how we can support one another and draw on our shared values and experiences and move forward together. So thank you all for this honor. It's a tremendous honor and pleasure to be with you all here tonight. Wish you all the best. I look forward to seeing you out there, whether it's at events like these in the future or certainly on the Hill, where we've got some work to do and we need your voice as part of the conversation. Thank you all so much.
All right, our next presenter, the Supreme President, Sava. Welcome. Do your thing.
Well, since I was given the opportunity, I must recognize the young man here, Mike Emanuel. I think he's had done an outstanding job, and he deserves a very loud and warm round of applause. Thank you, my friend. It is indeed my distinct honor and privilege to introduce our next recipient, Senator Richard Blumenthal from the great state of Connecticut. Someone who has served his country, who has served his state in many different capacities, and now serving his third term in the United States Senate. And I must tell you that he's someone that always, always stays close to his constituents. He never forgets his people. He's close to our chapters. He's close to our churches. And he's a great Philhellene. And for that, we honor him, we pay tribute to him, but also we thank him for his service to this great country we call the United States of America. Ladies and gentlemen, our next honoree, Senator Richard Blumenthal from the great state of Connecticut. Axios, it means worthy.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Savos. I couldn't imagine anyone whose introduction and whose really generous words would mean more to me, knowing of your fight for Cyprus, for rights and liberties that we all hold dear and that are epitomized by this Pericles Award and by this great organization. And I'm so proud to share honors tonight with Nicole and Chris, who are great representatives, as well as John Sarbanes and Marco Rubio. I was privileged to know Paul Sarbanes, who is a predecessor in this award, as is Gus. Thank you for your leadership. You should all know, by the way, that Gus Bellatrakis is leading an effort, as I am in the Senate, to keep kids safe on the internet. He's doing yeoman work on the Kids Online Safety Act. And I want to thank him personally for his work on that. And to all the friends who are here today from Connecticut, New England, all around the country, I'm really kind of awed as I look at this room. But most important, I want to thank my great friend, Greg Stamos, who is at the table here, for his constant leadership in Connecticut. And he is the reason why I have come to be a part of the Greek family in Connecticut, in the churches whose fairs I love to attend, as well as their services, to the community events, and to the individuals who do so much in our state to serve people through the chapters of this great organization, whether it is the Red Cross or veterans or housing. You are there for them, and particularly for our veterans. I was reminded by Nicole's talk about service to our country. Two of my sons have served, one in the Marine Corps as a combat infantry officer in Afghanistan, and the other as a Navy SEAL, and your service are role models for them. So thank you for your service as veterans of our military. Let me be a little bit personal tonight. I have an immigrant story too, not from Greece, but my dad came to this country in 1935 from Germany to escape persecution. He came here with not much more than the shirt on his back. He spoke no English. He knew no one. And this country gave him a chance to succeed. And all my life, he spoke to me about the importance of people who stand strong for freedom, who don't stand by, they stand up, which is what Greece has done again and again and again, not just in word, and frankly, not just in money, but with blood and commitment. Wherever freedom has been at stake, Greece and Cyprus have been there. And I know that because I serve on the Armed Services Committee as well as the Veterans Affairs Committee, and I know the respect that our military has for Greece as well as for its commitment to freedom. And I think that the culture that this great organization instills and spreads is as important in some ways as that force. You know, the old saying that we lead by the power of our example, not just the example of our power. And particularly when it comes to democracy. Your involvement, your engagement is so very important. There's an old saying, you know, democracy is not a spectator sport. It depends on people like yourselves at the grassroots level in your communities, being engaged and being involved. I've been to Ukraine 5 times in the last 2 years. On each of those occasions, I've seen the people of Ukraine and how determined they are. In my first trip, right around the time of the Russian invasions, when things looked very dark, President Zelensky said to me, "We will fight with pitchforks if we have to. If you don't give us what we need, we will fight with whatever we have." And that is the determination that the people of Greece have shown for democracy throughout their history, from the time of Pericles, whose name is on this award, and who gave birth, in a very real sense, to the values and the tenets of democracy that we celebrate now in this country as well as Greece. We are an offshoot, in a way, a subsidiary, not a wholly owned subsidiary, but our culture and our values are very much dependent on those same values that are celebrated by this organization. So this award has really special meaning for me. And because of my friendship and my feeling of family with the people of this community, I accept it with tremendous gratitude on my behalf, on behalf of my family, on behalf of my dad, who never lived to see me in the United States Senate, first generation, and who would have been truly awed by a Hellenic organization, AHEP, of this stature, giving me this award, and I am deeply, deeply grateful. Thank you so much.
All right, so that covers Pericles. Now we move on to Socrates. And our recipient tonight, I'm not introducing him, but I feel obligated to wish him a happy birthday. And now, to make the introduction, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome a great benefactor of our community, Mr. George Marcus.
I'm so proud to be up here, John, except for one small thing. Everyone here knows so much about you. You've been introduced already 5 times. The ambassador did a better job than I'm going to do. So do you want me to continue? Does anyone else want me to continue? No! Oh, all right, then I'm going to give you the last punch. I didn't want to do this to you. But Basil said, keep it brief, 20 pages or more. You're getting it, 20 pages or more. John, still do it? Oh my God, John, all right. Okay, here we go. Your Eminence, your honorees, ladies and gentlemen, and most of all, Brother AHEPians. Yes, it fills me with great pride to be the presenter this evening for this very special person. The AHEPA Congressional Banquet is a tradition dating back to 1927 when AHEPA was the first organization to host a dinner in honor of Congress of the United States of America. Many elected members of the United States government were active members of the Order of AHEPA. U.S. presidents, believe it or not, Franklin Roosevelt, Harry Truman, Gerald Ford, I didn't know that, were all dues-paying members of AHEPA. My God, it's terrific. This tradition continues today. It is a unique honor for me to be able to introduce the next recipient of the 2024 Socrates Award. Created in 1964, the very first Socrates Award winner was Henry C. Lewis, publisher of Life magazine, received it in his Washington, D.C. The Socrates Award is conveyed to members of government, presidents of the United States, prime minister, philanthropists, community leaders, and valuable people who do remarkable things that have Greek history. It is AHEPA's highest honor. Today marks yet another first in the history. The 2024 recipient of the AHEPA Socrates Award is Congressman John Sarbanes. But this is not the first Sarbanes to win the coveted award. It is the first time in the 102 years of the history of AHEPA that a father and son will win the same award. That's even more remarkable. Now I lost my place. How do you like that? Okay, you want to continue? 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 Oh, no. Continue. Okay. All AHEPA banquets should end. Oh, no. They basically, who said this? Oh, no, give me this. Paul Sarbanes won an award in 97, and at which time he said, all AHEPA banquets should end on the same day they began. That's a great quote. Because I'm not going to stop talking until midnight for you, all of you. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Citing that in years past, this banquet would have hours of speeches, speeches going past midnight. Do you believe that? Yes. Okay. John is the son of the late, great Senator Paul Sarbanes, who himself was a trailblazer in the history of the Greek American community. The son of immigrant parents, Paul came to his country, worked, went to school, got educated, became an attorney, congressman, and a senator, an all too familiar story in our community. The old adage of the apple not falling far from the tree applies here. John graduated from the School of Public and International Affairs at Princeton University and studied law and politics in Greece on a Fulbright scholarship. After graduating from Harvard Law School, he returned to Baltimore, where he clerked for the Federal District Court. Before coming to Congress, John served for several years as a Maryland State Department of Education, worked to make critical improvements to Maryland's public school system. John practiced law for 18 years and has represented Maryland's 3rd Congressional District in the U.S. Congress since '07, when following in his father's footsteps won an election to the United States Congress. John has been appointed to the House Committee on Energy and on Commerce. As chair of the Democracy Forum Task Force, John works to fight back against special interest policies in Congress while advancing positive reforms to improve accountability and transparency in government. Congressman Sarbanes assembled H.R. 1, this is the For the People Act, a historic reform package to clean up the culture of corruption in Washington and return to government by and for the people. Congressman Sarbanes wrote a law to create the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Option, which provides graduates with forgiveness of remaining student loan debt after 10 years of work in public service or nonprofit sector. When John ends his current service in the United States Congress, he will mark the first time in the last 53 years that a Sarbanes is not a member of Congress. We look to the future in hopes of seeing a new generation of young, smart, energetic public servants like John. Ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome Congressman John Sarbanes to the podium. Sorry, no, sorry.
Move that way. Ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed a sad moment in the life of our organization and in the life of Washington, D.C., because we're not going to have John Sarbanes with us for a long time. He decided to take a different turn in his life, but he left a legacy behind, which we value, we embrace, and he continued the Sarbanes legacy of his late father, someone that I had the honor to meet and work with. And John, this is the best tribute that this organization could bestow upon you for your service, for your dedication, and for our future collaboration. The Socrates Award means so much. And as George said, it is the first time we have this great honor to bestow the same award onto a father and onto a son. What a great privilege. Ladies and gentlemen, John Sarbanes, Axios.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Savas, thank you very much. I haven't written much here, but I've been jotting a lot of notes down, and so I'm just going to kind of in some ways, randomly address a number of points that I'd like to make tonight, because this is family. I very much feel that this is family. It's the AHEPA family. Mike, thank you for always being there for the Greek community to lift us up, to present us to ourselves, but more importantly, to the broader society in the way that you do so well. We appreciate it very much. So George mentioned the Sarbanes rule that my father coined back in 1997, which is that all Greek events need to finish on the same day that they began. By my calculation, that gives me about 2 hours to speak before we finish this evening. But being from Laconia, which is the origins of the word laconic, which means to speak in just a few words, I'll try to be relatively brief. George, thanks for coming tonight. I really appreciate it. You, as you know, were a hero of my father's, and I know that the feeling was mutual. George Marcus, some of you may know, in the past has received from AHEPA the Jacobus Humanitarian Award, which is so well deserved because he's a man of great humility and great generosity. He's also somebody who, while he doesn't necessarily wear his feelings about his Greek heritage on his sleeve all the time, if you spend any time with him, you understand how deeply he feels about it and how proud he is to be Greek. But his humility, I think, is what connected to my father's humility and made them such fast friends over the years. So, George, it's deeply meaningful to me that you're here tonight and that you presented me with the award. Thank you for your lifetime of service. So Mike mentioned tonight is actually my birthday, and I'm 62 tonight. So what happened was Basil got in touch. He says, we want to give you this award. It was going to be on a different night. And I said, well, why don't we do it on May 22nd so I can have all those people come to my birthday? So he moved the date. Where is Basil? There he is. There you go. So I want to thank you, obviously, to the other leadership, Nick Karakostas and Savas Tsivakos, and all who are keeping AHEPA strong and have kept it for so many years. But Basil handles the day in and the day out. I know it's not easy to put these things together. Up until the last minute, you're scrambling to make sure everything's done perfectly, and it really was tonight, and I want to thank you for your leadership. So well deserved. Your Eminence, thank you, as it's already been said, for your spiritual leadership in our community. I'd like to tell you all something that was deeply meaningful to me and to our family. So my father passed away in December of 2020, which was right in the middle of the pandemic. And as a result of that, we were not able to have a public funeral service. In fact, the funeral that was held at the Annunciation Cathedral in Baltimore was attended by only 10 family members, enough members to carry the casket into the church and out of the church, all wearing masks, all keeping social distance. We then went to Salisbury, Maryland, where my grandfather grew up on the Eastern Shore, where his father, Chris, as you know and we've talked about, had a restaurant, the Mayflower Grill. And we buried him there in the cemetery where my grandfather and my grandmother are buried. The Archbishop came from New York to perform the rites there in a service, and I'll never forget that. So, Your Eminence, thank you very much for that tribute to my father and to our family. Deeply, deeply appreciated. So, I want to acknowledge Ambassador Sava, Ambassador Nasika. Thank you for your recollections of my father, talking about what the Sarbanes name has meant. My most vivid memory of what the Sarbanes name means comes from a time years ago when I was in Greece near the town of Richa, where my grandfather came from, which is near Molaus, which is near Sparta. And my brother and I were walking up in the mountains near Richa, and around the bend in the road appeared a shepherd and his flock of sheep. And I mean, this shepherd was right out of Central Casting. I mean, he had the handlebar mustache and the whole thing. And he stopped in his tracks and he looked at my brother and me and he said, in a gruff voice, he said, "Ti soy, Isa. What stock are you?" And I said, "Sarbanes master, we're Sarbaneses." And he broke into this big smile and he said, "Sarbanaikia iste, bravo." So he knew the power of the Sarbanes name. To Phil Christopher, thank you for leading us all these years in the struggle for justice in Cyprus, and there's so many others that have participated in that and carry the torch. I was thinking back recently to 1974, the summer of 1974. I was thinking about in the context of my father's efforts around the impeachment of President Nixon at that time, because you know that my father introduced the first article of impeachment, and he was crafting that in July and August of 1974. And then I realized that at that very same moment, we were experiencing and seeing the invasion of Cyprus by Turkey, which was another issue that my father was taking leadership on. So in a matter of 3 or 4 weeks simultaneously, he was carrying both of these deep responsibilities. And I thought to myself, how is it possible that he was managing to do that? And I realized that the through line there, what was in common between those two endeavors, was this deep belief in the rule of law. And that was what was motivating him and animating him in terms of what he was doing in the U.S. Congress with respect to what the executive branch was doing. But it was also what was animating him around Cyprus. And Phil, one day, as we keep the dream alive, the rule of law in Cyprus will triumph. And when it does, we will point to people like you and others who made it happen. So thank you for your contribution. Let me just say about AHEPA, we've heard much tonight about its commitment, its mission to service, to reaching out, to lifting up not just our community, but really more importantly, lifting up broader American society. It's this notion of Hellenism in the public service in the best sense, which I've cherished for so long and I've tried to lift up as well. It's part of the mission of AHEPA to do that. It's in the DNA. And it's frankly a distinguishing characteristic of AHEPA. When AHEPA goes to the Hill, and I think Chris mentioned this and others, it's not to advocate for the Greek community. It's Greek Americans advocating on issues that can make a difference to every citizen in this country, to every community. That's the kind of enlightened approach that AHEPA has brought to its work over the last 100 years. And tomorrow, when the daughters of Penelope and the AHEPA brothers and the maids of Athena and the sons of Pericles deploy on the Hill, that's exactly the message that they will be communicating to members of Congress. That's why it is so incredibly powerful. I want to acknowledge the others who've been recognized tonight. If you take anything away from this dinner, you'll take away the fact that the Greek American community, in terms of its representation in Congress, is in very good hands. So I want to congratulate those who've been recognized tonight. Chris Pappas, Nicole Maliotakis, of course. While he didn't get an award tonight, he's gotten pretty much every award we can give in our community. Gus Bilirakis, Dina Titus, who is here. You heard their passionate voices. And what you see is an alliance, a bipartisan alliance, that is what keeps us as strong on the issues that matter to our community in the United States Congress. So our community is in very good hands, and that makes me feel confident about the future in terms of making progress on the issues that affect us the most. I'm nearing the end here, but there's a couple last things that I wanted to say. First of all, and it's been alluded to many times already this evening, it's my father's example, really, that has been so powerful in this part of my life, the part of my life where I've chosen public service. There are other parts of my life that are more private that you don't typically get insight into, but I do want to acknowledge that my wife Dina is here tonight, and two of my children, Stephanie and Leo, and my wife's sister Beth, who are sitting over here. And we certainly know the power of family in our community and what that means, and it's really what allows us to get up in the morning and go do the work. But my father's commitment was something, obviously, that I looked to over time, and inevitably had to be the thing that brought me to my own decision to go into public service and to run for elected office, his example. But he got that from his father, from my grandfather. And I want to read you just a couple of sentences, and this is from, so understand that my grandfather, Spiros Sarbanes, came from this tiny village of Richa in the mountains of the southern Peloponnese, emigrated to this country in 1909, August of 1909. Had the education, only a 7th grade education, but he was self-taught, and he became a philosopher of sorts. He was one of these people, and we know them in our community who, I mean, he was misplaced. He was running a restaurant when he should have been in a library, but he wanted to make sure that his children had the opportunities that he didn't have. In March of 1952, so this is when my father was 2 years into his college career at Princeton, my grandfather sent him a letter. My grandfather used to write letters almost on a daily basis. That's what you did back then. And the letter is quite personal in some ways, but there's one passage in it that I think captures this idea of service. And this is what my grandfather said to my father. Our dear boy, as time goes on, you are growing broader and deeper in your sympathy and understanding for your immediate people, meaning the Greek people, and it seems to be spreading out to cover humanity also. Keep it up, son, for therein lies a deeper, richer, and a more keenly sensitive life for you. A selfish life is a barren, fruitless existence. That's my grandfather communicating to my father that if you want to capture the full expression of what it means to live and serve, you have to reach out in a broader way. And my father clearly took that to heart in the decisions that he made, and I've tried to do the same. As has been said, my father received this award in 1993. At that time, he'd already been in Congress for many, many years. It will be 54 years when I leave Congress that there was a Sarbanes serving in Congress. My father served for 36 years, and I served for 18, exactly half. This is actually very appropriate because when I was first running for office, every day, people would come up to me and say, if you can just be half as good as your father was, you'll be outstanding. So I've at least met that standard chronologically. Others can decide whether I came close to it otherwise. But my father, as you know, and I've already spoken about, he brought a humility to everything he did. And I think that's something Socrates would have appreciated. Socrates said or conveyed, as we understand it, because we obviously don't have anything directly from him, we have third-party accounts. But he believed that the first step towards a workable philosophy of life is to concede or even embrace one's own ignorance, which is another way, in my view, of saying make sure to always maintain your humility. I've been evolving over years my own sort of philosophy of what public service represents, and it's this in a few words. If you're going to have a voice, and if you're particularly going to have a political voice, you should anchor it in service. It should come from something. And as was alluded to, I think maybe Chris said this earlier, increasingly we find people coming into the political space for the purpose of performance, not work. If you come into service and if you come to a political voice anchored in something meaningful that you've done, then it's not performance. It's an effort to change the world in a positive way. AHEPA represents that. AHEPA is emblematic of that. And AHEPA's appreciation of the value of service has made a tremendous difference over the last 102 years in the life of our country. Certainly in the life of our community, but in the life of our country. So I've gone on too long, but I want to tell you I'm deeply appreciative and humbled to receive this recognition of my service over the last 18 years. Thank you all very much.
It's only fitting that since she decided to sacrifice and spend the night with us, the least we can do is sing happy birthday. Not only to John, primarily, but we have I Gulas and Chris Cateson that celebrate their birthdays. Where is Brother Zourakis from New York? Because I'm not a Kallifonos, I'm a Kakophonos. Where is he?
Go ahead, you can handle it.
Let's go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. And many more. To you. Health and happiness.
Thank you, thank you.
Axios, Congressman. One of our honorees could not be with us tonight, so I'd like to call forward a past Supreme President, Nick Karakostas, for a few brief remarks.
Thank you, Mike. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to say a few words on behalf of Senator Marco Rubio, who cannot be here this evening. But before I do so, I would be remiss if, number one, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, especially my two brothers that are here tonight, George Kodiatis and Lou Atzaves, to welcome each and every one of you, to thank you for your support, your dedication, and your constant community work that you do each and every day. I also want to thank our sponsors, who are all listed in the program, but specifically, yes, they all deserve a round of applause. Specifically, I want to thank from the bottom of my heart, on behalf of AHEPA, to our two grand benefactors, Number one, George and Judy Marcus Foundation and his family. Thank you, George. And number two, AHEPA Senior Living, our chairman, Mr. Ike Goulis, and all the board members that are here. Thank you so very much. Happy birthday, Ike. Those were our two grand benefactors for tonight, all of which could not be possible without their support. AHEPA transcends its 100 years of history, and all these honorees tonight, the speakers as well, prove the work that AHEPA does. Their words are evident of our history and what we have accomplished. And that is the most important tribute, and you all make us proud. Congratulations to each and every one of you. We will be visiting with Senator Rubio tomorrow in his office. Unfortunately, he cannot be here tonight, but you all may find his story very familiar, and obviously, you've heard it a little bit here and there by all of our speakers. He is the son of two hardworking immigrants from Cuba. His father worked primarily as a banquet bartender. His mother balanced the family with caring while she was working as a hotel maid and briefly, very briefly, in a local factory. Senator Rubio saw firsthand how hard-working family, community, and faith helped his parents achieve the American dream. He's a senior member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, which is very important to all of our issues, obviously. He spearheaded groundbreaking legislation to establish a framework for U.S. policy in the Eastern Mediterranean, and that bill became law. The bill is recognized and leveraged in the geostrategic importance of Greece and Cyprus, along with our friends in Israel, and to the U.S. security interests. He is a valued member of the United States Senate Appropriations Committee and Senate Special Committee on Aging. As vice chairman of the Select Committee on Intelligence, he safeguarded our national security. AHEPA is especially grateful that he was the lead Republican and co-sponsor of the Senate resolution that passed unanimously by the Senate that commemorated the Order of AHEPA's centennial anniversary. Thank you, Senator Rubio, and we congratulate him for this accomplishment. Thank you.
Now it's my blessing and honor to welcome to the podium our spiritual father of the Greek Orthodox Church here in America, Archbishop Elpidio. Oh, forgive me, Your Eminence. Sorry, my mistake. Basil, a few words. Sorry, Your Eminence.
I'm not as religious as His Eminence, but I do have the Alpha Omega Award from the Boy Scouts, so I guess that means something. Very briefly, I'd like to just reflect back on one thing. Usually I don't really have speeches or any kind of prepared remarks, but this is very important to me as the executive director. And if it's important to me as your executive director, it's important to all of you. In 1988, George H.W. Bush, in his nomination speech, said that the Order of AHEPA was part of the 1,000 Points of Light. And it's a very deep meaning for us because it sort of validated all the work that the organization does, not just here, all over the world now. Our ever-present promotion of our programs spans the globe, as witnessed by members from Europe that are here with us from our AHEPA chapters in Germany and in Greece and France and London. But the important part for us as an organization is that this 1,000 Points of Light Foundation, which I give credit to Supreme Treasurer Dimitri Kirkles for developing this relationship with them. We're one of their members now. We're a member organization. And as such, the organization, the 1,000 Points of Light organization, honors individuals for volunteerism. And as a member of that organization, the Order of AHEPA can bestow on an individual a lifetime volunteerism award, which is sanctioned by the President of the United States. And it's known as the Presidential Medal of Volunteerism Award. And as a member of that organization, we nominated an individual, we submitted the application, and we were approved and given the opportunity to award the first ever AHEPA Presidential Volunteerism Award. I'm up here because I'm here to tell you about our recipient, who has been a stalwart supporter of AHEPA, but not just AHEPA, a stalwart supporter of our community, both in programs and projects that benefit young people, old people, kids that are trying to go to school, people that don't have money. And when the Order of AHEPA calls on individuals and says, "Excuse me, Fred, can you cut me a check?" Sure. "Excuse me, John, can you help me raise a building because it was flooded by a hurricane?" Or whatever the examples are. There's no one better than your headquarters that can monitor what's happening across the globe and what our chapters do. So this year, I'd like to have Brother Savas come up, please, to give this actual award. This year, we picked and we submitted the name of an outstanding individual, someone who I've grown very close with over the years, and we have a very friendly and loving relationship, and I appreciate that. I'd like to announce the winner of our 2024 first ever Presidential Volunteerism Award to George M. Marcus.
There are certain individuals in life that truly make a difference. And when we recognize those individuals, we motivate others to follow on their footsteps. And this fine gentleman here, George Mutsinas,
Thank you.
is one fine example and a true legend and a true jewel in our community. One of the greatest, and John Sarpain summarized it, is someone that doesn't broadcast to the world what he does. And I can tell you, he has done 100 times more than the people that say they do things. This is George Mutsinas. Axios!
You also get a pin.
Oh my God, a pin
From the president. And we didn't tell you on purpose because you'd have probably talked to him like that. Congratulations. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you so much for everything.
I just want to say,
Yeah.
it's really so, yeah.
You also get a coin, a challenge coin. Excellent. Thank you, George.
You've heard enough from me. I have only one thing to ask. John, can I say something? Thank you all. That's my kind of speech.
Your Eminence, my bad. Welcome, please.
It was a good idea to keep it secret and surprise because I know that George Marcus wouldn't be here tonight if he knew. So it was wise. Axios, congratulations, George. My dear friend, Savas Civicos, Supreme President of the Order of AHEPA, General Chairman Philip Christopher, most honorable senators, Your Excellency Ekaterini Nasika, Ambassador of the Greek Republic of Hellenic Republic to the United States, Your Excellency Evangelos Sava, Ambassador of Cyprus, the Republic of Cyprus to the United States, my dear friends, Christos Anesti. Tonight is truly a consequential evening, and it is for the entire Homogenia because through this amazing institution that we call AHEPA, the interests and the issues important, even essential to our community, are being put forth in the halls of American power. We rejoice not only in the members of our Greek American and Cypriot American families that walk those very same halls, but we also applaud the remarkable men and women who bring the issues near and dear to our hearts before the lawmakers and the representatives of our government. Those issues resonate within the hearts of every Greek Orthodox Christian in America. Whether we speak of the rights and liberties of the ecumenical patriarchate, the 50-year wound, the wound of the illegal Turkish invasion in Cyprus that still bleeds on the island nation of Cyprus, or the security of the Aegean and the sovereignty of Greece, we stand together as Hellenes and Philhellenes. We stand together as a phalanx of righteousness for our spiritual, cultural, educational, and political traditions. And this is precisely why the AHEPA Biennial Congressional Banquet, now in its 46th iteration, is so vital. I want to congratulate all who have made this remarkable event possible and all who are contributing their presence this evening. The fact that the Congressional Caucus on Hellenic Affairs is now a mighty 94 member-strong council representing both sides of the aisle is a stunning accomplishment. It testifies to the tireless activities of AHEPA and other Hellenic American interests, and to the awareness in the halls of the Congress of both the strategic and the symbolic relevance of Greece and Cyprus to the entire world today. The civilizational importance of the Hellenic world and its legacy to the world in no way diminishes the contributions of all other cultures, the religions, and the traditions. In fact, it provides the clearest lens through which all others can be viewed and appreciated for what and who they are. Hellenism is a crystalline experience, an experience that reveals the best and the brightest within ourselves and within others. The acknowledgement in which we engage this glorious evening is much more than the individual representatives who have been honored, and they all were most deserving and axii. The recognition extends beyond the honorees, encompassing the esteemed personages who presented the honors and manifests among all who recognize the essential righteousness of Hellenic causes. To prove my point, consider who were the presenters tonight and the honorees of tonight. The incomparable George Marcus, who presented Congressman John Sarbanes with the 2024 AHEPA Socrates Award. And if you will allow me, Congressman Sarbanes, our entire community will always hold your late father, the ever-memorable Senator Paul Sarbanes, in the highest regard. For he incarnated the best of all Hellenic, the Orthodox, and American values in a single life and in an extraordinary career of public service. May his memory be eternal. Να είναι αιωνία η μνήμη του. We also honored the following four with the 2024 AHEPA Pericles Award to demonstrate their gifts, gifts of statesmanship and leadership. Senators Marco Rubio and Richard Blumenthal, whose presenters were respectively Senator Chris Van Ollen and the past Supreme President Nick Caracostas. And the Homogenes representatives, Chris Papas and Nicole Maliotakis, and their presenters were respectively their fellow Hellenes and representatives Dina Titus and Gas Bilirakis. All of this is to say that there is so much to be grateful for and to be proud of this evening. We have come so very far on these blessed shores that stretch from sea to shining sea. Hellenic Americans love this country of ours because it has fulfilled the promise of democracy that shone forth from Athens 25 centuries ago. My dear and esteemed friends, may we found ever worthy of our democratic way of life and persevere in the hard and rewarding work of forging a more perfect union among ourselves, leading the way among these nations of the earth. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Eminence. Sava, your turn.
Okay, kalispera σας. And I have exactly an hour and 59 minutes. Sorry, Your Eminence, I don't write my speeches and I don't know how long they're gonna take. So, with all seriousness, Your Eminence, thank you so much for being with us on this very special occasion. Madam Ambassador of our motherland, Ekaterini, Brother Ambassador of the greatest island on earth, Republic of Cyprus, distinguished honorees, it is indeed a very special honor, and I always say the responsibility is greater than the honor. As I reflect back to the year 1922, right, when this organization was founded, along with our archdiocese, the two pillars of our community, and I look around this room, I am mesmerized how far we have come. In 1922, we were marginalized, oppressed, discriminated against, harassed, intimidated, and here we are today, my friends, 400 strong, at the Capitol of the United States, honoring distinguished Greek Americans for their service, and Phil-Hellenes, Senator Marco Rubio and Richard Blumenthal. But to have stars in the U.S. House of Representatives, Chris Papas, remember his name, Nicole Maliotakis, Dina Titus, Gas Bilirakis, John Sarbanes, and a few years ago, some giants in the United States Senate. Twice, we came one step away from winning the presidency of the United States. My friends, we have come a long way, and we should be very, very proud of it, because now we are part of mainstream America. And that comes with a great responsibility. We shall act as one. And this great organization has been the voice of the community and a bridge between the United States, Greece, and Cyprus. And Your Eminence and ambassadors, we don't need to tell you how great, how old, and how good we are. We don't. Our actions speak for themselves. There are others that like to do that. We don't. We are here. We are not proclaiming to be the foreign ministers of either Mother Greece or Mother Cyprus. We are simply good soldiers and ambassadors to make sure that we promote and protect Hellenism and Hellenic ideals and fight until the last moment when Cyprus is liberated. This is our task. This is our task. Unfortunately, we are in Washington, and we visited the halls of the Capitol today, and we're going to be doing the same thing tomorrow. Unfortunately, as we celebrated 203 years of the Greek since the beginning of the revolution, unfortunately, at the same time, we commemorate, my friends, and don't forget that, 50 years since the brutal Turkish invasion of Cyprus and continued occupation. And there is no way that will be normal relations between Greece and Turkey as long as a part of Hellenism is under occupation by Turkey. So we need to do our part. And always the Hellenes of diaspora, we are on the front line. After all, the Hellenes of diaspora created the Philigieteria, and I call our organization as the contemporary Philigieteria of the 20th century. Some wise men planned and executed the revolt amongst many others, but they won a successful one of 1821. So the Hellenes of diaspora are always on the front line, and I politely asked the motherlands of Greece and Cyprus to make a concerted effort to να αξιοποιήσετε καλύτερα τη δύναμη του ελληνισμού της διασποράς. Because we have a lot of power. And we are here to serve. It is very important that we come together, and it is very important that we work together. I always say, όλοι μαζί. Όλοι μαζί μπορούμε. When we are united, the Hellenes are undefeated. But unfortunately, we don't learn from the divisions of the past. And I'm not going to go back to ancient Greece. I'm going to start with the catastrophe of 1922, of the Civil War of the 40s, and the latest catastrophe in 1974. Here in the United States, all of us, all the organizations need to work together, aiming at one goal, protecting the sovereignty of Greece and working for the liberation of Cyprus. Nothing else. Everything else stays aside. So I ask all of you to continue your hard work. I'd like to thank all of you, every member, all the chapters, all the districts, the Board of Trustees, represented here by Nick Aragostas, George Goriadis, Lou Atsavis, the senior living, where is Ike, Steve Beck, Mike Bihagis, and Jim McGrees, and all of you for everything you provide, for your support to the programs. And of course, to the organizing committee headed by, where is Basil? Basil Mosaidis, Rory and Stephanie. Our junior orders, we have great faith in you and great expectations. Alec and Stephanie. Our friends that came all the way from Europe, Brussels. Where is Demosthenis Mamonas? Yasure Demostheni. Where are my German brothers? Costa Kafasis. And Christo. Thank you, thank you. My Canadian brothers, where are the Canadians? I have a tall one right there. Let's go, Canada. And thank you to all of you, our sisters, the daughters of Penelope, for being here, starting with the Grand President, with the Executive Director, Elena. When we are together, it feels much better. So we have a lot of work to do, my friends. As I said earlier, this year marks the 50th brutal invasion and continued occupation of Cyprus, and we will continue the fight. Tomorrow, when we are meeting with our elected officials, that will be one of the highlights of our discussions. We need to continue doing that. You heard the senator who said that democracy is not the sport of the spectators. And I often say that we have two choices here in the United States, right? One choice is to be in the game. The other choice is to sit on the bleachers. When you sit on the bleachers, you scream, you yell, you curse. What's the end result? Zero. But if you are in the game, then you can make a difference. And please, as one of the pillars of our mission is civic engagement. Education, philanthropy, and civic engagement. This is how we can effectuate change, and this is how we can make a difference. So I ask all of you, when you go back to your states, make it a point, develop a relationship with your elected official, and you're going to see the difference. You heard from our elected officials here today. That's the only way that we can make a difference. So we have a lot of work ahead of us, but as I said earlier, we have come a long way. It's not time now to lose hope. Now is the time to reflect on the words of St. Paul and say, we will continue to fight the good fight. We will continue to be running the race, and certainly we will continue to keep the faith. It's very important. Thank you all very much. And before I close, because I want to go home and find a wife, I need to recognize a beautiful human being that has been with me. Well, thank you, honey. Congratulations again to our honorees. You are fully deserving of this honor. Chris and John and Nicole, Mike, thank you so much for always being there. George, thank you for coming all the way from California. You are truly a role model in our community, and I say it from the bottom of my heart. We know each other since 1987 or 88, working on the Dukakis campaign. You know, you became younger, I became older, but that's besides the point. Again, I thank you all very much. I wish all of you the best. Tomorrow, when we visit with our elected officials, we must talk with one voice, okay? Turkey still challenges the sovereignty of the islands, still challenges the sovereignty of the Aegean, creates problems in Thrace, and continues the occupation in Cyprus, continues to invade in the buffer zone, 3 times it has done it, and creating problems with the exclusive economic zone, created problems by signing pseudo memorandums with Libya. Today, Erdogan came out with a blasting statement against Greece. He does it on a daily basis. So, my friends, you understand the burden, you understand the responsibility, and since we chose to be volunteers, we must continue, because we have a long way to go and tall mountains to climb. But if we are together, it will be a moment where we're going to celebrate, and when the sun of freedom is going to shine all over Cyprus. I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Please rise for the benediction from our spiritual father in the Greek Orthodox Church here in America, His Eminence, Archbishop Elpidoforos of America.
Ας κλείσουμε με μια προσευχή στα ελληνικά. Χριστέ ο Θεός ημών ευλόγησον τα περισσεύματα των κλασμάτων της τραπέζης ταύτης και πλήθυνον αυτά εν τη μετρή εκκλησία της Κωνσταντινούπολεως, εν τη Ιερά ημών Αρχιεπισκοπή, εν τη πατρίδη ημών Ελλάδη, εν τη Κύπρο, εν τις οικογενείες των ΑΧΕΠΑ και εν το κόσμο σου άπαντη, ότι Άγιος υπάντοτε νυν και αεί και εις τους αιώνας των αιώνων. Ευχαριστώ.